We've got another great day full of good talks, starting with Don Brown on HipChat APIs. Thank you.
So this is the group that doesn't like Jira and didn't go to the Chieftain last night. Does that sound about right? I heard it was pretty nuts. There's always two Scots that come out at these type of things. There's a Scot that goes home early because his family is here. And there's a Scott Farquhar that goes out and gets behind the bar and starts pouring everyone drinks, which is apparently what happened. He's an enabler. Stay away from him late at night, by the way. Anyways, I love IRC. Any other IRC fans out there in the masses? A couple. IRC stands for Internet Relay Chat, for those of you crazy people who don't speak in acronyms all day like I do. And I remember using IRC back in the early 90s with this wonderful shareware gem, MIRC. FNet, DownNet, slapping people with large trout, the early days of the internet. It was wonderful. Now, MIRC was a good client, but I've evolved since then. I've tried new things, and I have a setup now which I think is just about perfect. So I'm on Linux, and I'm using Quazzle, and I have a bunch of regular expressions set up so that I can be mentioned whenever someone's going to be calling. Now, of course, you don't get history on IRC, so I set up an IRC bouncer on my VPS server. So it connects to IRC, I connect to it, and then I get the history of what happens when I'm not even there. It's amazing, and it works great. And if all of this sounds overly crazily complicated, it is. And that is probably why Atlassian, despite having an IRC server for many years, had maybe 20% of the company, if that, using it. And then really, what good is a chat server if nobody uses it? And then one day, Rich Manneling installed this baby. Within a week, we went from nobody to probably 60% of the company on this. Now, there was no top-down pronouncement, no EAC blog post that said, everyone must use HipChat and install it. People just started using it because people wanted to chat. This was a great way to do it. It was easy, and it just happened. So there's a number of reasons for this, one of which is, remember all those complicated features that I have in my IRC setup, history, mentions, all that? You get it for free. Simple interface, exactly what you need. Everything else gets out of the way. Now, I like to fiddle with bits, but really, that is kind of a 20% thing. So HipChat's not only really easy to use, but also it has this other great feature that as a programming type person I find interesting, and that's this. The ability to take other data and easily put it into the chat, the integrations. Now, integrations are nothing new. If anyone of you have ever written an egg drop script, anyone? Little Perl, it's an IRC bot framework. Guess not? Well, it's fun, trust me on that. What it is it's a program that connects to IRC 24/7 and acts as a user, and that's one way that you can bring external data into a chat room. Now, you can do this in HipChat as well. We have an adapter for HuBot. HuBot is a bot framework. Now, these are not always easy, because you have to learn the bot framework, you have to find a server to run it 24/7, and the abstractions are not always there. They're pretty leaky, and so you end up having to learn the underlying protocol of IRC or XMPP, and it can be a pain in the ass. So what HipChat did is it took it to the next level, and they provided an API. So with a simple post via curl, via shell script, via Python, via Perl, whatever you want, you can send messages to a chat room. Super easy. And people are loving it. All kinds of companies are integrating with HipChat because of it. Now, this is a great system. In order to authenticate to this API, you need to have an API key. And so if you have one integration, it's nice and easy. If you have two, it's not too bad. But once you have tens and 20s and hundreds, it starts to become a giant mess. Some of these are mission-critical integrations. Some of these are one-off things that someone deployed. So the current system works well. In the small case, it does not scale very well. And there are a lot of integrations. As you can easily see and read from this slide, we have lots of people that are integrating, wanting to send information into us. And if you want to find these integrations, here's what you have to do. You have to go into Google and hope that you find this little tiny, somewhat ugly page. And then when you find it, you think, great, I have integrations. You click, and you'll get a web page which has 100 steps on how to do something. So it's not easy to install these integrations, despite the API being a great step forward. And so that's the problem we wanted to solve. And I'll give you an example, Bitbucket. So as you may know, Atlassian owns Bitbucket. Atlassian owns HipChat. Surely, to connect these two would be a nice, simple affair. But no, no, no. We have 18 steps, I counted, and in fact, I have some of these steps that are actually multiple steps in and of themselves, where you have to open up multiple web browsers, copy and paste data back and forth, and do all this crap just to get two things to talk to each other. And it's actually worse than that because some of these links are broken. So this whole documentation-oriented installation is bullshit. And that's the problem we're trying to solve with HipChat add-ons. So HipChat add-ons combines really three projects in one. First, we took the API and we rewrote it to be more RESTful, to be more powerful, added a few methods there, add standards like OAuth 2. Second, we added a little bit of Atlassian Connect. Atlassian Connect is a new technology that we're using to allow you to deeply integrate with Atlassian applications. So we added a little bit of that in there. And then finally, the discovery problem. How do you discover these add-ons and all these integrations? Well, we have this great marketplace, so why don't we use it? So now we can use a marketplace to discover new integrations and even purchase some of these add-ons. Now, I could go through bullet point after bullet point and talk about all the great, wonderful features, but let's be honest, it's 9 o'clock in the morning, I'm tired as hell, and that would bore the shit out of me. So instead, we're going to do a little role play. Any other role play D&D players out there? None? Oh, come on. You're fucking lying. I know all of you are. You've done it at one point. You liked it, and you're like, oh, I kind of feel bad. That was stupid. But deep down, you're like, I kind of want to do it again. I know it. Anyways, we're going to do a little role playing. I'm not going to tell you a bunch of bullet points. I'm going to walk it through and have a character. And so we have 3 characters in front of you with these wonderful stats. And all of you who have played D&D, because I know you have before, man, I spent forever trying to get all the little numbers on these stats. You know, I'm like, oh, would an enterprise architect have a high intelligence and low wisdom? No, maybe a low wisdom and high intelligence. It's amazing the things you can do when you're procrastinating from developing slides. Anyways, sorry, back to the talk. We have 3 characters. You get to choose which one I use for the rest of the presentation. Well, not the whole thing, because that'd be annoying, but a good bit of it. First, we have the young SaaS developer. So the young SaaS developers right out of university, they think they know everything. They're working for a medium-sized online payments company, and for some reason, the company is just not acknowledging their brilliance. So they feel they need to do something to make a name for themselves. Now, a lot of their friends are working at hot young startups and using HipChat because HipChat is obviously cool. And they feel that if they could integrate their stodgy company with HipChat, that might open up to a whole new audience, get him a lot new sales, and finally the CEO would give him the praise that he deserves. So that's the young SaaS developer. Second, we have the experts founder. The experts founder used to work at a big company, and then he decided to take that leap and start his own company as an Atlassian expert, providing consulting for Atlassian products. And that's worked out pretty well so far, but he's ready to take his company to the next level and start doing products. And he thinks HipChat is an excellent opportunity for that. And in fact, he's so excited about Service Desk, Jira Service Desk. If you haven't seen it, go to the booth. It's a wonderful product. Buy it today. Service Desk, and he said, we have Service Desk and we have HipChat. What if we combine those? What if you're able to have help support via chat, and you could get it with your normal HipChat environment? That might be great. That might be a product that can sell and take my company to the next level. So the Go Get 'em Business Experts founder. That's character number 2. Character number 3, we have the Enterprise Architect. Now, the Enterprise Architect does this a lot. If you've ever met him, you know that these type of people exist. I might have been one in a past life, may or may not have been. They cross their arms a lot, they think a lot, and they have a lot of things going on in their mind. This is an old stodgy architect. He's been working at this company. It's a multi-billion-dollar company for years. And he just finished fighting with the company to get him to use HipChat as the chat tool, beating out this larger, more featured, but totally shit, bigger enterprise chat program. And he's anxious to prove how valuable HipChat is. And he thinks in order to do that, he can integrate some of the sales data that they're getting and send that information to developers' chat room, so developers can start to see the financial impact of what they're wanting to do. And if everything goes well, he might even have some ideas to start a little side business on his own and get back into coding. So that's the old stodgy, as if old's a bad thing. That's the experienced, somewhat stodgy, enterprise developer. We have the Go Get 'em Experts founder, and we have the young and inexperienced but ready to take over the world, SaaS developer. Who should I be? Let's start with a raise of hands, because everyone's asleep. Actually, you're looking up pretty well. This is good. SaaS developer. Raise of hands. Who should be a SaaS developer? Let's say some. OK, good. Let's go with the experts founder, the go-get-em business guy. Perhaps let's go with a few more. And finally, the enterprise architect, stodgy guy. How many people like stodgy guy? Fucking hell, you guys are all leaving. OK, you're choosing. Nope. Expert? OK, we're going with the expert. Don't worry, you'll get to hear the happy ending stories where everyone lives happily ever after and makes billions of dollars. Because of course, that's what's going to happen if you write a HipChat out on, obviously. So the expert's founder. Now, whoops. This is kind of interesting in Keynote, if you didn't know it already. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? There we go. Look at that. Shouldn't even things hyperlink and actually do a non-linear presentation? It's a pain in the ass, but it kind of works, as we just saw. Anyways, experts founder. So we have an experts founder. Now I'm going to take, first, I'm going to take them through 3 phases, because this is where we were wanting to go with our add-ons. We recognize that there's really 3 different types of people who are going to be writing add-ons. First, we're wanting to integrate with HipChat. First, we have a hacker. This is someone who just wants to get something done quick and easy. They don't want to have to get approval. They don't want to have to build anything complicated. They just want to see if their idea will work. Second, we have an intrapreneur. An intrapreneur, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Does that sound about right? OK, whatever. You guys don't know, so let's say that is. An intrapreneur is someone who is creating a product, but it's really just meant for inside the company. So there's the innovative spirit, but it's meant to revolutionize a company. And Lord knows, some of these big companies are worlds in and of themselves. Finally, we have an entrepreneur. This is someone who wants to perhaps create a new product, create a new business, and sell it to the world. So we're going to take this experts founder through these 3 phases. Now, experts founder guy is not as catchy a name as we could probably do. So I think we could do a little bit better. So give me an idea for the experts founder name. And of course, E has to begin with the letter E. So what should expert founder name guy be? This is the part where you yell out names and don't make me feel like an idiot. OK, that probably wasn't as well done. Edgar. I like Edgar. I like poetry. OK, so we'll do Edgar. So my name is Edgar. My company's been going well, but I am ready to take it to the next level. I want to create a product. I want to get out there. I want to get that feeling of whenever the cha-ching money comes in, where I don't do anything, I just sit there and watch the money flow through the bank account. That's the world that I want to be in. So I have an idea. I want to create a help desk product, but of course you got to start somewhere. And I think probably the easiest way is to start by taking an external chat room and being able to put it onto a website. What if you could just go to a website and you could see a little chat right there on the website and start typing? Just a chat, that's it. And perhaps when someone starts that chat, we'll send a message to a room to say, hey, someone just joined your chat room, so that we can go and jump in and check it out. So let's start there. Now, I have a medium-sized company, so I'm not exactly the owner, and I don't want to deal with approval and talk to my ops guys and do all this on live production stuff. But I also want to just use it and get it going. So what do? I have no idea. I've never done HipChat before, never done APIs before. Now, I could go to hipchat.com and browse around links, but I got no time for this. I'm supposed to be doing a bunch of other stuff. I got a business to run. So let's just use Google, because be honest, everyone uses Google. Whenever you need something, yeah, you know you're supposed to open up manuals, but no one does that shit. We just go use Google. In fact, even Google my own products, my own consulting company. I'm like, oh, well, where's that page? Was that stuff on? I'm sure Google will know. Google knows everything. So I type in HipChat API, and thanks to magical Google foo, I get documentation. Now, I don't want to read this documentation, so I'm just scanning. I'm thinking, I want to send a message to a room. How do I do that? And I see this, send room notification. That seems about right. Apparently, I just need to send a post to this URL, and away we go. So let's give that a try. I use curl, because really, be honest, any API worth its salt can just be curlable. If it's not curlable, it's too complicated and we're not going to use it. So thankfully, I think this thing will use curl. So we use curl and we'll send a little message, or as you can see here, -D, message hello world. Now you might think, why does Experts Business Guy founder use curl? Because I was a programmer back in the day. Don't judge me. I still know that stuff. I'm just as good as I was back then. As of course all business people are who used to be programmers. So I'm going to send a message, hello world, and I'm going to send it to here. I'm going to send it to /myroom/message. And when I hit enter, I get this. 401, crap, that's not what I wanted. Why is that? Well, of course, this API, being a decent API, actually tells me what I did wrong and gives me a direction. So it says go to the auth document. So I'm guessing that URL will help me. It looks like my efforts to skip the documentation were all for naught. So we're back to the documentation. So I look at this documentation and I see a bunch of text. I don't want to read this stuff. So I scan, scan, scan. Personal access token. That sounds pretty nice. Let's click on that. Apparently, a personal access token is a query parameter that I can add to any request, and it'll authenticate it. Well, that sounds good. No headers, no signatures, no OAuth, no bullshit. I can just authenticate with a little string. Let's try that. So I need to create a token. So I create it, copy and paste that line, because as we know, all development is done via copy-paste. And I add it to my query. And now I have a auth token down at the bottom. You can see auth_token. I hit enter, and I get something much nicer, a 204, which I'm pretty sure means success. It didn't throw an error, so that seems about right. Now, what did that do? That created a nice room message. So now I have a message, system message, coming from Edgar, of course. It says Don Brown, but it's actually Edgar, saying hello world. Hooray, I have my message. So apparently some of those docs were useful, believe it or not. And so I want to go back and make sure that I didn't miss anything. Back a couple before on the response, I noticed there was a rate limiting header. What the hell is that? I should probably, that sounds kind of important. So if I go back to the docs, I remember seeing something about rate limiting and blah, 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 blah. It looks like that I get 500 requests every 5 minutes. Why don't they just say that instead of all this text? Who knows? What else? So I can't do a lot of requests. How do I get my information? Because what if I want to get a room and find out all the email addresses of people in the room? So it looks like there's this thing called title expansion. Again, wall of text. What does it mean? It means this. I can go into a room and I can get the participants, but it only gives me the name and ID. Now, if I wanted to, I could then take all of those IDs and then relook those up to find out their email address. But then that's, in a room of 100 people, that's 101 queries, which eats up my rate limiting quite quickly. So it looks like with rate limiting, I can add a title expansion. I can add a query parameter, expand, and I can tell it a field to expand. And so instead of just getting name and ID, it'll actually blow it up and tell me all the information about a user. So that seems like a quite useful way to get a lot of information in one request without having to eat up my rate limiting. Anything else? Anything else? Well, it looks like I can create and delete rooms, I can create and delete users, I can send messages. Well, that's good to know, but I think I got what I want. I wanted to send a message to a room, was one part of it. But if you remember right, I also wanted to put a chat onto a website. So I go to Google and I type in embedding HipChat, because of course that's about what I wanted to do, and I find this blog post written by this incredibly handsome and articulate person. The way he writes is so clear, I can just see exactly. Anyways. And it looks like what I can do is use this jQuery plugin and put a chat right into any web page, and people can chat. So that seems about right. I don't want all that HipChat stuff. I just want just the chat little bits. So I can drop this jQuery plugin and just get the chat bits. So I go back into my little coding laboratory, dust off that little text editor, VI, of course, because every real programmer uses VI. Any Emacs fans? Oh, good. I like to offend at least half my audience when I talk. So I'm using VI, of course, and I write a little script, a little web page that has a little button, and it says Chat Now. When you click it, it'll use that API in my personal token to send a message to a room, and then open up that room in the web browser so people in my company can check it out. So I started playing with it, and it seems like it's good. I got my ideas validated. What I want is possible. I have leveled up. Anyone recognize this screen, by the way? No? Come on. You guys over 20? This is Baldur's Gate. Anyone play Baldur's Gate? Okay, some head nods except for that guy. You play it. It's so good. 1999? No, 2000. Anyways, whatever. Great game. I leveled up. What am I saying? Leveled up. I wrote a script. It's working. It's deployed. And now people can chat from a web page. Time to take it to the next level. I want to create something that I could actually put on my own consulting page, because every now and then people have questions about consulting. How much do you charge? What kind of things can you do? Can you deal with Jira? Can you deal with Confluence? What is this awesome service desk that I keep hearing so much about? Whatever, questions. And so I want to be able to put it right on my web page. People can chat with one of my people and find out more information. So let's see if we can get something deployable, something reusable. This will be the first real step to putting something on the marketplace. So in scanning through that stuff, I found out that there was a thing called add-ons. So let's see what are add-ons. Again, a wall of text. But by scanning through, I found that add-ons are pretty much an external application which is connected to HipChat. It sees HipChat, HipChat sees it, and it can use certain capabilities to integrate deeply with HipChat. And this little thing is this nice reusable thing that can be installed in multiple different instances. So let's give that a go. OK, it looks like first I need to create a descriptor, because we need to describe our add-on, what its name is, what its description is, what things it can do. So I create this nice little JSON descriptor. And everything is pretty self-explanatory. The only weird bit is down there at the bottom, the scopes. Because when I want to authenticate, apparently I need to ask for permission to only be able to do certain things. Now in the old HipChat UI, from what I was reading, there was either send room notification or admin. You could just do everything. That was it. So it looks like with the new system, there are some scopes that can better define and give me access to certain parts, but not access to others. Back in the documentation, I remember reading about these different scopes. There's manage rooms, manage users, view group, that sort of thing. Just a couple, but what I really need is just send notifications, so let's start there. Now capabilities, it looks like capabilities are ways that the capability of my add-on to integrate into HipChat. Now right now I just want to use the API, but it looks like there's some other ones, some things dealing with OAuth 2 and whatever. Doesn't matter, don't need it, don't care. So let's install my little add-on. So I went back to my little VI laboratory and I wrote a little, let's see, PHP app, because everyone knows if you want to get something done, you use PHP. Java, Scala, all that, that's for intellectual people who just sit around and have nothing better to do. I have a real job, I use PHP, right? Am I right? Come on. PHP? Who's a PHP fan? You better raise your hand, I know you. A lot of PHP is, HipChat is written in PHP, so that's Garrett. He's the founder of HipChat, by the way. Go see him afterwards if you have any complaints. Go see me if you have any praises. So PHP, of course, whatever. PHP is what I'm going to use. So I'm going to write a little PHP script and throw it up on, let's say, Heroku, because Heroku is a really nice, easy way, but I could have used anything, something that's internet accessible. I have my descriptor, and it looks like I can go into a room and add the add-on. Now, this is an interesting point, because it's usually you have to add an integration at the top level. You have to have admin access to everything. But it looks like with HipChat add-ons, I can either install it globally or I can install it just in a room, which means I can test it out in that room and not affect the whole company. The add-on can have just access to this room and not the whole system. So that's a pretty useful feature. So I install it into my room. I type in the capabilities URL down at the bottom, and then at the end, I succeed. Hooray. Now it says that its add-in was successful, more information, so I'm going to click on that, see what that is. Oh, right, an OAuth ID. How many people out there love OAuth? Oh, a couple of you. How many are not fans of OAuth? How many don't know what the fuck I'm talking about? Okay, a couple. Should probably watch my language a bit more. Believe it or not, I used to be a preacher. That was fun. Anyways, so OAuth. Yes, an ID and secret. Because it looks like, rather than my simple hacker case where I just take a token and that's it, now I need to request tokens, and tokens expire. And I remember this from skimming through the documentation. So how do I use this ID and secret to get a token? Back to the documentation we go. And it looks like I need to send a request. to use the ID and secret as a basic authenticated request to the server to receive a token. And it'll go something like this. I'll take the ID and secret and use -u, which sends a basic authenticated request for the ID and secret with a colon delimited. And then I send a message to this URL, ask for client credentials as a grant type. That's some OAuth 2e thing. Don't worry about that. And what scope? I need send notification, so I do send notification. I get back a little JSON blob, which has a token and an expiration. So that's what I need. Now I can take that token and just do the usual auth_token query parameter, and now everything's authenticated. But that's kind of a pain in the ass, right? When someone installs my add-on, I don't want them to have to copy and paste the ID and secret, send it to me in email so that I can add it and start using it. I want that all to be automated. So back to the documentation we go. Because documentation, this is actually pretty useful, huh? It's not just writing, it's actually quite good stuff, believe it or not. So installable, it looks like there's a capability which will help me. With the installable capability, it will post the ID and secret every time someone installs my add-on. So I can take that, store it into Mongo or Redis or Postgres or whatever, and now I have all the information to be able to start using it. I add a little bit more to my capabilities document. See down there at the bottom, installable with a callback. And now I'm able to receive installation information. So leveled up. My PHP little bit of code is expanding. I went into the applications to my website of my company. I added that Chat Now button. When people click it, it again sends a message. And I've installed it into a room, and this room is called General Chat Questions. So anyone in this General Chat Questions room can be able to talk to customers real time. So that's pretty cool. I've validated that I can build what I want, and it's starting to be useful as a company. Customers are starting to use it. Customers are getting feedback quicker, which means they're happier, which means they choose me instead of go off and choose other people, because people have very limited attention and spans. Great. Let's take it to the next level. Because remember, I wanted to turn all this into a product. That's where this whole story is going. So I want to create an add-on that I can put on the marketplace that lets anyone add support chats. So I'm pretty much there. However, there's a few things that I'm missing. For example, configuration. So far, I've been able to hard code everything exactly to the room name that I want to use and everything that's all built for me. I need to make this configurable. And so the documentation says something about a configurable capability. With this, I can create a web page to create UI that actually is integrated into HipChat. So I copy and paste the examples, and I would get, well, first I have to add it to my descriptor. So I add configurable and add in the URL, copy and paste some examples, and now I get a configure page. So when someone installs my add-on, there'll be a configure link. When they click on that, they get my UI. So now within this little bit of HTML, I can add in forms and fields and autocompletes and all kinds of things that allows people to configure my add-on. That's not too bad. Now, how do people know about it? How do people find it? Marketplace, it seems. I need to register a Marketplace. How many of you have ever dealt with Marketplace in another product, perhaps? OK, a few of you. It's pretty cool. What it is it's an app store, really. It's an app store for Atlassian add-ons. And I want to register my HipChat integration into my new HelpChat thing. HelpChat, that's a good name. I wonder who thought of that one. HelpChat into the website. So I need to register it. I read some text, and of course I don't read a lot of it, I just skip into the thing. Now it looks like the process is a bit rough. They did mention something about this being a beta, and Marketplace isn't quite built for HipChat add-ons yet, but if I'm diligent and follow the instructions, which of course is quite a big assumption, I'll be able to get this on. So it looks like I need to type in the name, I need to put my vendor, some description, and down at the bottom I need to put a binary URL of my capabilities. Yes, that doesn't make any sense, but they promised me that they're going to fix that up really, really soon. After I do that, I can go into any room, and when I click on add-ons, I'll immediately be taken to this screen, a listing of all the possible add-ons, and then I can click install, and my add-on is installed. So now I have this nice little chat thing, it's configurable, and people can find it on the marketplace just with one click. I have leveled up. Now, anyone recognize this game? Anyone? Dragon Age? Has anyone played Dragon Age? Yes, a few people. It's another great game. Not as good as Baldur's Gate, but it's done by the same people, so it's pretty good. So I've done what I've wanted. I take it, my new add-on, I put it up on Marketplace. People are starting to install it. People are loving it. And then, in a few months, I'm going to make it purchasable. And then people will be able to buy my add-on. And the money will start flowing in. I'll be able to afford that house and maybe a boat. Boat might be kind of nice, that I've always wanted. And I will become a billionaire and live happily ever after, all thanks to HipChat. So that's the story of Edgar, right? Edgar? Edgar, good old Edgar. Name my kid Edgar. Unfortunately, I have the snip, so I can't have any more kids, but maybe I'll have them name their kids Edgar. It's a great name. Right, not talking about names. What were we talking about? Somebody just, Edgar, it's just such a catchy name. Level up. Yes, we have a new add-on. Great, so that's the story of Edgar. How he went from knowing nothing about HipChat all the way up into having something on Marketplace, buying a boat, living happily ever after in the Caribbean. Caribbean's beautiful. Anyways, I get those are distracted. Wonderful story. Now you might be wondering, what about the other two? Well, we have our SaaS developer. And our SaaS guy was, I would do gal, but that'd be really offensive trying to do a girl voice, I think. And also it'd be really awkward to do for 15 minutes. But our guy, SaaS guy, gal, whatever, ended up writing a nice integration for their online payments, used it in their team. Their team loved it, made it an add-on, shared it within their company. All the different product teams love it. Now managers are coming from other teams saying, hey, this is great stuff. You're doing a great job. He's getting kudos. He's getting all those attention he wanted. But then the day that he put it on the Marketplace, all of a sudden new sales were rolling in from all over the place. The CEO came to him and said, what a great job. HipChat is such an amazing tool. You've done a great job. Have that promotion. I know it's only been 3 weeks, but you deserve it. You've done wonderful. And he went on to a wonderful career. The other person was the enterprise developer. Similar story. They started with HipChat. He started getting signups or sales information. So anyone who bought the product would have the sales information right there in the developer chat room. So all of a sudden the developers were saying, not that I'm writing code and fixing bugs, but people are buying it. Money's happening, and people are buying it because of what I'm doing. So developer teams started getting more interested in the business side and feeling like they're really making a difference. Then they installed it into other rooms in that company. Other teams are having the same effect. And then he took that knowledge and he made a Stripe add-on. Stripe is an online credit card payment program that allows anyone to see, if they're using Stripe, people buying their product, the credit card transactions, as they happen right there in the chat room. People loved it, became a wildly successful add-on, and of course, enterprise developer had a happy side product. Didn't buy a boat. He already had a boat, because as we know, all enterprise developers are super rich. But he did get a nice new computer, let's say, to play more Dragon Age. Excellent game. Check it out today. Also install Service Desk, because that's also a great program. So what I'm hoping you see is not through these stories, not just how easy it is to create an add-on, to go from nothing all the way to having an add-on, but hopefully you can also see how the user experience is improved. No longer do you have to copy and paste URLs, API tokens, OAuth, all these things that people shouldn't know about. People should go to HipChat, say, hey, I want to integrate with this. There it is. I click install, one click install, done. So to prove this idea, I took a step back and I went back to that HipChat or Bitbucket add-on. Remember those 18 steps of all these things you have to do? Well, I got it down to 6 by writing an add-on. So before you had to have multiple pages, copy and paste all these things. Now, by writing a Bitbucket add-on, you're able to, all you have to do is go to HipChat, go to your room, click on add-ons, find it, click install, configure. That's all. Just 6 steps, and you're able to integrate 2 things together. Whenever you make something easy for users, people will use it way more. People have very little small attention spans, which you think about it is the same thing for you. So you always want to strive to make things as easy as possible. So by making a HipChat add-on, hopefully you can see it's really, really easy for people to use. The more people that use your add-ons, the more demand there is, the more they're going to be willing to buy, the more people using HipChat, everyone is happier. So that's where we are today. Everything I've showed you is up on the website today. It's 1.0. It's been available. All these screenshots are things that coming directly from the documentation. In fact, you may have been thinking to yourself this whole time, you know what? That whole presentation was just a bunch of screenshots of documentation. And if you notice that, you would absolutely be right. For that was my secret plan, that you realize none of this stuff is new. It's all available on the documentation if you'd like to find out more. You can start writing it out on. You don't have to know anything. Whether you want to just do a quick hack, whether you want to sell something in Marketplace, hopefully you can see that there is something for you. So that's what's available now. Let's talk about the future. Now, before I talk about some of the future things we're thinking about doing, let me preface this by saying these are just things that I think would be cool. One of the reasons why I'm giving this talk to you is because I want to know what you think would be cool. So it's not just me in my little crazy cave programming whatever the hell I want. I want to know what would be useful. What do you think customers would like? What integration points, whatever. So I'm going to give you 3 ideas, and I'm looking for feedback from you to know what's good, what's bad, what should we do. Let's start with this. So right now, if you wanted to share an add-on with another room, because remember, add-ons can be installed on a room level, which is a really nice way in a large company. Like in Atlassian, if I wanted to get global access to something, I have to file a ticket with our IT support using the Excellent Service Desk tool. And that's kind of a pain in the ass because IT is always busy. They never have time, and I don't get anything done, and then I forget what I'm doing, and then they come back later, 2 weeks later, and say, no. It's a very disappointing experience. But with HipChat add-ons, now I can install things into a room. Now, right now, I have to copy and paste this capabilities URL and send it to other people saying, hey, if you want to install my cool add-on, paste this here and hit enter. Well, that's shit. No one wants to be pasting stuff anywhere. What if we had the same type of marketplace listings that we did for external add-ons internal? So that you could install an add-on into your room, a room administrator of another room would see that add-on right there in his list or her list and be able to click install and install that add-on straight away. That would be pretty cool. It'd be a lot like Speakeasy. Did anyone use Atlassian Speakeasy? OK, a couple of you. The idea is just to make it so you can do these innovations and share these innovations within your company without having to have admin access and everything. So that's one thing, internal listings of add-ons. The second feature. If you go to marketplace.com today and you search for HipChat and you see if we have any paid add-ons, you will see this ugly page which says, sorry, we don't have any. Because right now, add-ons are just free. However, you'll notice with Atlassian Connect, we just added support for commercial add-ons so that you can have paid add-ons. And this is, of course, as a business person, this might be a little bit more interesting to you. So what we want to do is we want to take add-ons and make it so you can purchase it. When people are buying HipChat, on our order form, they can say HipChat, and then they can see add HipChat add-ons, and they might see what the hell is that? And then they'll see a list of all these cool add-ons that they can purchase and install right into HipChat and pay for it all in one nice quick bill. So we want to make commercial add-ons. That's the second thing. The third thing is this. If you've ever used HipChat, and you guys, HipChat users? OK, if you don't use HipChat. Anyone? OK, a couple, good. So off on the right, you'll see a list of who's in the chat room, what are the files, and what are the links. This is a really cool, it's useful, but it's not that useful. What if this was pluggable? And what if it was pluggable not just on the web application, the web client, but in the native clients as well? So you could put your own tab up here. And this tab could watch the conversation and react to the conversation. Someone pastes in a Jira issue key, it loads the Jira issue and displays it right there in the side panel. You're talking to a customer, it loads that customer information and shows that right on the side panel. And you can do some nice little actions, maybe interact with it. It turns HipChat from simply being an information dump to an information tool. So I think this is just one example of extension points that we're really excited about. This one, webhooks, a few others, and of course we want feedback. And that's where we get to this part. The reason why I'm at this convention, as I mentioned, is to get feedback, find out from you what is useful. So please let me know. I'll be at the desk at the HipChat booth all day. Come let me know. So I've told you some stories about people who went from nothing to hero. Now you be the hero of the story. Go to hipchat.com, check out the docs, give it a go, install an add-on, create it, sell it on the marketplace, and buy that boat you've always been wanting to buy. Thank you.
Oh, okay, Don, thank you for coming out of your crazy coding cave to share that with us. I think we have time for like one question. We're running right up on 40 minutes, but I can come around with the mic.
I know in the case of Jira and Confluence, the Atlassian Connect stuff is only available for on-demand instances, and I wonder, is all of this functionality also going to be available in HipChat server?
That's a very good question. Is this functionality going to be available in HipChat server? Part of our strategy as a very, very small team, by the way, did you know that one guy does the iOS client and the Android client? It's not a team that does this stuff, it's one dude. So we're pretty small, so our strategy there is to let other people solve hard problems, and then we steal them, take credit, and deliver them to customers. So that's our plan with that one. HipChat, the Connect team, is hopefully going to solve the behind the firewall problem. We're going to steal that and make it work for HipChat add-ons. Now, HipChat add-ons actually would work today as long as you create that add-on behind the firewall as well. The only time it doesn't work is if the add-on is outside the firewall, and then we have to kind of come up with some weird proxy-ish solution. So it would work today if you run your own add-ons for like the intrapreneur type stage, but if you wanted to consume one from outside, then we're going to have to come up with some solution there.
We got any more questions? Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming out. We've got Stefan.